And they had a question about diaspora, and I submitted my response about diaspora and the Armenian community and stuff. And then I was started to do this video podcast myself, and it was around the concept of unsettling. So, in your opinion, um, are you unsettling? And if so, how so? And if not, why not? But you can define unsettling however you.
What does that mean?
Well, like if somebody tells me I'm unsettling, does that mean that I'm off-putting or I'm not settling down? You know, it has a lot of different definitions.
Oh my God. Do people really think about things like this?
Well, even also in Berkeley, I've been working with the Ohlone committee on some projects. And the concept to them about unsettling is, trying to take back some ownership of the land in California that was taken away by, basically the European settlers.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a definition that you relate to for the term unsettling?
Oh, I don't know. My grandparents came here from Russia in the very early 1900s. And I guess, growing up, being born here and growing up here, I don't know. I haven't thought much about it. I've been so involved with the Palestinian community that I really haven't even related to my own community in that way.
Have you seen any collaboration between the indigenous activists in Berkeley in the Bay Area and the Palestinian activists?
Listen, when I started doing this work and talking about Palestine 35 years ago, there was nobody doing anything on the issue of Palestine. So, it's so completely different now. And now I'm, almost 80 years old, and I don't think about it. I stopped working. I stopped being the director of the Middle East Children's Alliance.
Yeah.
I did it for 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just see everybody is getting over. I don't know what to say. Things, it's changed so dramatically since I started doing this work. Even from the Palestinians. It took a long time until they got to really know me and take me in to their community.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult. And now there's so many people doing it. We were the only people doing this work.
Yeah.
And it's so different now. I felt when I left Mecca, I felt like my work was done. I brought it up. I brought the Palestinians here, to talk and to educate people here. I did all of this work, and it took me a while to catch on to all of it. I was very, I was very naive, I guess, when I started doing this work. I don't know whether I would do it today, knowing all that I went through. It's, it was a long trail. It was, everybody hated me. Everybody screamed at me.
Oh, man.
I remember we had an event at the community theater with Noam Chomsky. They almost killed us.
Wow.
So my view of the Jews, now they're doing the work, and that's great. I think it's great that there's Jewish Voice for Peace and all of the Jews that are doing this work. But, I never related to the Jewish part of it. even though I was born Jewish and grew up as a Zionist, once I got to know the other, the Palestinians, Golden Thread people, all of them,
Yeah.
I related much more to them than I do to the Jews.
What about Noam Chomsky? When did you start, or Ilan Pappé?
I was in Iraq in 1991, just as the first Gulf War started.
Wow.
And we were doing an event one night. I came home, and something happened. I was walking down the street to go to the community theater. I wanted to get there early and talk with Noam. And people that I had worked with when I was president of the Board of Education for 4 years, here in Berkeley, all these political people, they were walking down the street and they saw me and they crossed over to the other side of the street.
Oh, man.
And looked the other way. And I was just, here I just come from seeing the horror of horrors. Seeing all of these dead Iraqi children, just all of it was, and then to come home and to have my past friends look the other way and cross the street. So when I got to the community theater, Noam said, "What's wrong?" So I just told him the story, and he was funny. He said, "Don't worry about it. Nobody talks to me. They all hate me." He said, "Who cares? Just ignore it."
Yeah.
So from that moment on, I ignored it.
Well, that's a nice moment to share with somebody, with the same people coming after them, because it's hard to come by.
Yeah. I mean, here's Noam, who's Jewish, and I was Jewish, but I don't really consider myself Jewish. I'm an internationalist, and I really relate so much more to the people I've worked with for these 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
They are my friends.
What about,
I think Jewish Voice for Peace is wonderful. I think they're doing nice work. I just can't relate to anything that has religion tied to it. But Jewish Voice for Peace, just being a human being for peace,
Yeah.
I'm an internationalist, and I want peace. I just can't get over the religious part.
Yeah.
So that's my problem with a lot of that stuff. It's a good thing I'm going to be 80 next year, because I'm getting so vicious and angry over all of it. I can't imagine what I'll be like in another 5 years.
Where did you go to school? Was it around here?
I did not go to school.
University or anything?
I did not go. I left school in the beginning of 11th grade and I was a beatnik. And I hung out in New York with Allen Ginsberg and Lawrence Ferlinghetti and all of those people. And so when I was almost 18, I left school, and I never went back. I hated it. And then I became president of the Board of Education. And I ran as a high school dropout.
Wow.
And I said, this woman was up at the microphone, and I called on her, and she started going on about how horrible the education is, and going on, my daughter will never be able to be up there like you. She's running around. She was describing me. I said, listen, don't worry about it. If she doesn't go to school, she could always run for the Board of Education. I didn't go to school.
That's perfect.
I see a lot of humor and a lot of sadness in all of it. They wanted the best school. We all want the best for our families. So let's all go to school together, and let's work together, and let's make it great for all of our kids.
Yeah.
You know, I just can't stand it.
Did you
What?
did you discuss the concept of like the empires and imperialism in the 60s and 70s, the way that Africa was revolting and Middle East revolting and some of that stuff?
No, like in the 60s, when I was mostly involved with, it wasn't political, it was fighting here, demonstrating here. I was very involved in what was happening here in this country.
Right.
And I didn't get involved in Palestine until the late 70s, maybe middle 70s. I was very close friends with the mayor at that time, Gus Newport. And Gus took me, was going to a party. It was to raise money for this group called the LA8. Do you know about the LA8?
It rings a bell, maybe.
It should ring more than that. It's 7 Palestinians and 1 woman from Ghana, I think. She was married to a Palestinian. And they were all arrested, accused of being terrorists.
Whoa.
And there was it was very big. Nobody here knew about it, because the Palestinians did. And that was the first time I really met Palestinians, was at that party. And it really moved me to hear what was happening to these guys. But Michelle Shahada was one of them. I don't think you know any of them. But you should look it up and read about what they went through.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I came in on that end early on. And then I became friends with a lot of the people who were at that party. And so it wasn't about, for me, I started the organization in 1981, I guess, or 80. And I just got an education. I was educated by people who became good friends of mine who were in the PFLP.
Yeah.
So I come from the PFLP end of things. And the faith sort of died out here and in Palestine. But how many other people are you talking to?
Just a few people that have been, involved for a while in the Bay Area. I mean, yeah, in the Bay Area. I did some work with JVP New York City when I lived there a few years ago, and American Muslims for Palestine also in New York. And like you said, they both have sort of an angle of the religious element.
Well, how long did you stay with them?
I was there for about a year, because in December 2016 I went back for the 3rd time to live in New York City, and there was a lot of protesting, and then the Women's March in January 2017, and just a lot of protesting. But the fun thing about New York was there were so many students, and that's what I learned about Students for Justice in Palestine, I think. And then that sort of connected across the country through, Facebook and emails and stuff. And that was kind of fun, because it was a lot of the young people that I hadn't connected to in Berkeley. And when I moved back, I had a lot of good connections for, the Berkeley Palestine students and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, so it's been very different in the past 5 or 10 years in the Bay Area for me, even though my family's been very Palestine activism oriented ever since I was a youngster. But yeah, so I'll definitely look into even some more connections, and it's nice to reflect on some of your inside thoughts, because
How old are you?
I'm 38.
An infant. Well, there's a lot of good people.
Yeah.
A lot of good people here.
But it's nice that the younger people these days are reaching.
They're smarter.
Yeah,
no, they are. The young people are much better than the older ones.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit more flexibility and not being so rigidly stuck in the religion first.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're lucky that now there's a lot more food. Food culture is first, and learning about recipes and keeping tradition that way, and the language. So yeah, it's been fun to do some community stuff that way. But yeah, I'll keep chatting around with people, and some of the things you mentioned are very interesting that I'll look into. And are you?
Give my love to your parents.
Yeah, I'll let them know that we got to chat, and even in this apocalyptic times,
How about today? It's still dark out.
It's pretty weird.
This is like, I don't know.
If we make it through, it will be very interesting on the other side.
Or not. Maybe this is the other side.
Well, I know that there's people, we have family and friends all over the world, in the Middle East and in Europe and whatever, that have dealt with some of this stuff on a crazier level and on a more regular level, but we'll see how much we'll try. I try to be a good promoter, cheerleader, keep everyone optimistic. Good. But yeah,
it's a big job.
It's a lot. But yeah, well, I won't take too much more of your times. But I'm glad that I got a chance to chat with you. And well, are you gonna be? You're gonna just get through the day today and keep on doing what you're doing?
I wish I was doing something, but I'm not. I just, you do something for 33 years and you leave it, and it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my parents are going through that too, because the restaurant was seemingly almost everything, and to have it
was everything. It's your life. They worked their butts off.
They did.
And it was a fabulous restaurant.
It had a lot of fun, community and memories and gatherings. Yeah. But I guess it's time for...
Give them my love, and someday we'll meet.
All right, that sounds good, and yeah, maybe we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, thanks for chatting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.